What up? This is the 3 a.m. podcast. My name is Sean.
My name is Charlie.
My name is DEEJAY.
Whoa.
Yo.
And we're just a couple friends, tell scary stories, some not scary stories. If you don't want to listen to us chit chat, skip ahead to the actual stories, but you're missing out. That's on you.
What is going on with the Titanic and the submarine?
What's going on under the sea?
Ever since the live action
Little Mermaid.
This is the best marketing scheme ever.
Guerrilla
Ariel's
marketing.
bitch ass is going to come out with a sub.
Actually, probably a wrong choice of words to use there.
Let's take out 3 billionaires and more people will go watch it.
Sean, tell us about this.
Yeah, what actually is going on? I've just seen things, but not like read into it or watched any of it.
Let me tell you.
I saw it and I did not look into it because I think there's a couple scenarios on this planet that are the most stressful thing in the world to me, and being stuck in a submarine is maybe top one.
Bro,
so I was like, I can't take this on. I'm not looking at it.
This story is going to make you anxious.
All I know is that there was like a Mad Catz controller involved.
Yeah, that's what I said.
You know the show Expedition Unknown? Have you ever seen that?
Mm-mm.
So this guy, he actually went on this submarine and did a little tour to kind of see what was up before they actually went down and did this tour with the billionaires. Okay. But yes, 100%. It's like an old like PlayStation controller.
No, it's an off-brand. It's like a Logitech controller, dude.
I don't know
like
the
difference. See-through kind.
Yeah.
But yes, that is what's controlling it. And B, it's actually locked from the outside. So,
well, what is it? What were they doing? It's a submarine, and they were going to go check out Titanic.
So
it's a tour or something.
This is actually, it's a tour submarine. So the company does tours for hella famous or like hella rich people, and this tour specifically was to go down and see the wreckage of the Titanic.
This company's been doing it for a while.
I know that they have a couple of lawsuits on their hands, so they have to have been doing it for a while.
But the build quality of this thing is like that's what everyone's laughing about, right?
Yeah, it's
like
basically
like it runs off of like a Raspberry Pi or something.
Yeah. If you like look inside the submarine, it looks so just basic, so mid. Like you're not like what you would expect a submarine, even like an old class submarine, to look like. It looks like you're inside of a tube. That's it. Now, the other funny thing that I get a kick out of is there aren't actually any windows for them to see the Titanic. They see it on a screen from outside, like that's inside the submarine.
What is
from
the
a camera.
point? Bro, can't you just go to like YouTube and search like 4K?
And the funny thing is
Titanic
the owner of this
footage.
company should have probably just been like, oh, we're going down a Titanic, and then went down like 100 feet. And then just showed them the video and then been good right there.
I read something 100%. About isn't there one tiny window?
I think.
And like the company that manufactured it made it so that it can last to, I don't know, a few hundred meters deep when they're going like.
Something to that effect.
Plus.
But yeah, they are going all the way down, which is, I can't remember the exact depth, but the depth is so deep that like Coast Guard doesn't have equipment to get that low. So now to what's going on. It was maybe 2 days ago is when this started. They go down and they start going towards the Titanic. One of the famous like billionaires who's on this tour has like his marketing guy like posting on his Twitter, hey, he's going down now, or whatever it is. And an hour and a half later, they lose contact with the submarine. Now, this submarine also is equipped with communications via Starlink, but not unless it's on the surface. So they're assuming it's not on the surface. They have no contact with it. And they have until like tomorrow evening.
So it just disappeared.
Just disappeared.
And how many hours left do they have of air before they run out?
As far as I know, up until Thursday evening. Like it could be earlier than that, but I think they have less than 24 hours left of air. And there's 4 tourists, and the ticket to get onto this thing was $0.25 million. So 250,000.
$250,000.
Yeah, $250,000. So that's the most expensive casket I've ever heard of.
Oh my hell.
Here's an update though. the Coast Guard, I believe, started dropping sonar detectors in the water to just listen to anything that was anomalous, but anomalous. And they started picking up what sounded like someone banging on like metal every half hour. That was very close to where they lost contact with the sub. But still the thing is the Coast Guard can't get down to them. So they're waiting for the Navy and other private companies to get to them where they can actually get equipment down there. They still don't know exactly where it is, but that's where they're at as of right now.
Okay, this is Thursday? A terribly tragic situation. Terribly tragic. So we shouldn't make jokes.
No.
Someone said, where are they gonna poop and pee?
On each other.
The average observer said
there
on
is
the poop
actually
deck.
Shit.
Bro, had me. It's not funny. Okay.
There is a little toilet in
I'm not laughing at them.
Submarine.
I'm laughing at the joke.
Laughing at not this.
I'm laughing with them.
They ain't laughing, cuz.
Okay. Oxygen is going to run out. I have a timeline. I'm looking at a timeline.
It's
Oxygen's supposed to run out Thursday at noon. Their time. They're East Coast. Maybe like an hour.
10 o'clock tomorrow for us.
Yeah. So before that, only 2 vessels on Earth can complete this mission.
And they don't actually know exactly where they are either yet.
Just like Optimus Prime and the Terminator. Good luck.
Okay, I see. Yeah, the search, they sent Hercules aircrafts to search for the submersible. The name of the submersible is called the Titan.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear some things like this company, the owner of this company has already complained before about how strict the laws are and that it's like super annoying that that safety is so important and they need to calm
so they
down.
cut corners and just decided to go with it.
Yeah,
I guess. And the people who are on this are like billionaires, right?
Yeah. There's one driver and then 4 people who paid their tickets of $250,000 to get on.
So they're
and
super
one of them
wealthy.
is one of them is, I can't remember his name, but he's like a billionaire tourist. So he was on like Jeff Bezos' flight to space. He was also on another like submarine trip that went down to the Mariana Trench. That's the kind of people you have on this.
Oh my gosh. And then I did see something like while one of the billionaires is down there, his son is spotted at a Blink-182 concert.
Blink-182 concert. And that's just like
na
super angsty right now. Just like
yeah.
Where are you?
Yes. It's just one of those days.
Oh gosh. We're not canceled yet. We're getting canceled now.
Oh, whatever.
Damn, Sean.
That might have been your best joke ever. That was top tier. Where are you?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Miss you.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
I cannot sleep. I cannot breathe tonight. Oh god.
Damn.
What?
That makes sense why he went.
Did they name the ship after the Titanic?
Well, that would have been a poor decision.
I know.
Yeah.
It's called the Titan. It's just the Titanic without the ick.
Yeah. Nice.
Gosh.
That is so funny, bro.
Lord.
Okay, let's talk about it. It's us 4, Jordan, Kevin, and a pilot. And we're lost. Dude, and it's like we have 24 hours to breathe. What do we do?
Us 3, Jordan and Kevin, under the sea.
And Sebastian. What do we do, dude? My thought is like, okay, if we are going to, I would rather die as fast as possible rather than like slowly choke and death. You know what I'm saying? So I'd be like, the last hour, let's just like oh, let's open this bitch up.
No, but if you start like growing potatoes, the potatoes will make oxygen. And I saw it in a movie one time.
Oh, dude, oh my gosh. Like, and here's the thing. What if you lose your cool and we kill Jordan to try to drink his blood and stay alive longer, and then they rescue us like an hour later and we've like completely lost it? You know what I mean?
You know what's crazy is that if they get rescued, the dude's going to jail for life. so he's like, I hope they don't find us, please. I'm trying to stay
He's
down
like
here.
moving away from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He goes further.
Just
They're
on
like,
his little
bro,
control.
Oh my gosh.
rage
He just
quitting.
quits. He just
Yeah.
quits and disconnect. DC.
Rage quit, dog.
Oh, that's so funny.
But it's not funny though.
Yeah, no,
It's not
funny.
not at all.
It's terrible.
It actually is terrible, and I would die, dude. I can't think of like a worse scenario in my life.
Would you rather be these dudes in the submarine or the kids in Thailand in the cave?
Bro, I've been thinking caves also freak me out. Like ever since Nutty Putty.
Well, we know what happens to the kids in the cave, so I'm choosing kids in the cave. They got some nice drugs, and they got to
Before
just
you knew.
sleep, and then they got rescued.
Remember when Elon sent his
submarine?
He's like, I made this in this submarine, and they're all like, no, dog.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's all about the submarine, I guess, dude.
What are your final wishes while we're down there?
Like for the outside world, or what do you mean?
No, just what could we accomplish?
Bro,
With
dude,
the time
we're
that's
all
left.
we're all
We're
like passing
stuck,
out,
dude.
and we're like this, and the captain looks over and he goes, "Aren't you Charlie from 3 a.m. podcast?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Take your final breath. Goodness.
That's
oh
mine.
my gosh.
And he's like, "I don't know any of the rest of you. I don't recognize you guys."
Salty, dude.
Yes,
Salty.
just like the sea.
Yeah, and the
like
salinity
our
of this
grave.
water just increased, dude.
Yeah. How about your guys' last wish?
I don't know. An all dude orgy, Pride Month, baby.
I'd be like, "Whip them out, boys. Let's go."
Yeah, let's go.
Might as well.
I'm all
We're
like
dying-
enema,
we're all dying
I'm all
happy.
I'm all like enema of the state, you know?
Yeah.
Whoopsh. Yeah, let's go. Take off your pants and jacket. Damn.
We still got like a little window. Maybe like see the Meg go right past us.
Someone in
be
chat said, "What are the chances that they just got swallowed by a Meg?" Probably pretty high, if we're being honest.
Honestly. No, what are the chances that they've entered the hollow earth? They're with the
Okay,
Anunnaki.
actually, my sister messaged me today and she's like, "I've got a conspiracy theory for you." And she
Whoa.
went and said that exact same thing. She's like, "I think they just disappeared down there in like some entrance to Atlantis or a hollow earth or something." I was like, I've heard crazier theories.
That's the best case scenario, bro.
Honestly, yeah. Because you're not dying.
Amazing. All right, so when do we? Tomorrow we
Tomorrow we'll
just
know
like
for sure.
collectively mourn these people.
They have exactly 13 and a half hours. That is terrifying, truly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. One of the worst stories we ever told was Nutty Putty Cave.
Oh, I
Yeah.
hated it.
You've seen I don't know if it's one dude or a couple, but what is up with these dudes spelunking or like cave crawling on TikTok where he's like,
Just like this.
making his body smaller and then pulls himself closer
And he's like
or further into the cave.
Just above the water.
And he's like, I can't breathe. Pulls himself closer. I'm like, what are you doing in there, dude?
It's like you do this. You chose to do this. What are you
Yeah.
doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
a
about
good
it.
idea.
Yeah. Would you rather be stuck in this submarine, DJ? Or I guess this DJ already asked this, or in a pitch black cave with like no way out?
So, like, legitimately no way out. There's just
Yeah.
a hole in the ground, like a pocket.
Yeah, you don't know if there's a way out.
You don't know if there's a way out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Submarine with the homies, or a dark pitch black cave with the homies.
I feel like your chances
Submarine.
of survival are in the cave
Hmm.
because, like, potentially you could get yourself out. You also still have air.
I guess I was just banking on dying either way. So I was going to say submarine so I could see at least. So I could see my homies die. I want to look in the eye while you take your last breath.
I ain't trying to see
DJ's
you
right.
guys. I want to pretend I'm alone, dude.
Okay.
You are.
Dumb question. I'm sorry.
So dumb.
Good Lord.
Okay.
What else is going on in the world? Anything else?
Yeah. Anything else?
I can't think of anything.
Nope. That's it.
Yeah.
Didn't you guys
That's
come
it.
down to Florida?
That we did.
DJ, take it away,
I know,
bro.
it was a good time. We went down to Florida 2 weeks ago. My first time in Florida. My first time in the South, which I know it's technically South, but culturally its own thing. But had a good time. Just a long weekend trip.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the beach every day, had some food, just hung out with Charles and his wife and their baby and Lucy. It was cool. Sean picks me up. First stop, Buc-ee's.
Let's go. Of course, we go into a gas station, get some food the first thing.
What a strange place. I wasn't sure what to expect, but
But it exceeded those expectations.
I guess it's good.
Oh, well, I mean, just in general, because you didn't know what to expect. It was like going to like Reed Moon's bookstore and Maverick. And
It's the biggest gas station I've ever seen. There's like 70 stalls to throw your gas in.
oh yeah.
And it's like a Home Goods, also like a Cold Stone, because you tip them and then they just start like chanting.
Bro, there was a mascot in there.
Yeah, the actual beaver mascot was in there.
It was game day at Buc-ee's, baby.
Yeah, dude, it was hectic. It was like Costco during the apocalypse. People were like sprinting around the store to get like tater tots. So I don't know, kind of a weird place. But
To answer one of our people in chat here, Classic Squid, Buc-ee's versus Maverick. And y'all know how much I like Maverick. Buc-ee's takes it.
Whoa.
I still think Wawa is king. I think Buc-ee's is quantity and Wawa's quality. Either or. We don't have to spend time on gas stations. Yeah, it was a good time in Florida. Super humid there. I knew that was part of it, but dude, the air, the humidity just like hugs you in Florida. And it wasn't even like the hottest time of the year there.
Nope.
Not at all. But the pocket that Charlie and his family live in is nice. It's a new area, and we went to downtown St. Augustine, and that place is beautiful.
Oh yeah, it's like a little pirate town.
Yeah, it's a gem of a town. It's like, I don't know if you should, book a trip to go just there, cross country. But I was pleasantly surprised by everything there. But before we get into that, I wanted to take us way, 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 way back. Did both of you play sports growing up?
You're
Yeah. What did you play?
I played basketball and football.
Like a city league?
Oh yeah, wherever
Thing?
we lived.
Yeah, Charles.
basketball, swim, water polo.
Was there ever in your career an opponent that everybody knew and maybe even feared?
Dude.
Because they were just so good. And you never saw them until you played them. You get to the field, you get to the pool, and you're like, holy shit, this kid's huge, or this kid's fast, or what?
His
Does anyone come to
name
mind?
was Cuba.
Cuba. Oh my god.
I'm already
That's
scared, bro.
terrifying. This is like on the same level as like
Cuba.
yeah.
Dude, he was unreal. This kid was a foreign exchange student from like Croatia or some shit. And him and his brother came over to the US to play water polo.
That's the reason they came here.
Thick mother. Like these guys should have been playing American football, but they were Croatian.
Not the Croats in the water.
Fastest swimmer I've ever come across. I was like, holy shit. At one point, I'm guarding him. Zach D is guarding him, and Zach D was probably one of our best players. Cuba swam up to me and Zach, threw the ball in the air, grabbed Zach, grabbed me, switched us in the pool, just moved our bodies, caught the ball that he threw up and then just wow, like right into the goal. And I came up out of the water and I was like, what the was that, dude? He just handled all of us like children. And I was like, all right, this is cool. So yeah.
What is it in dodgeball? The purple cobras.
The purple cobras.
Fran Stellanova, whatever, the homegirl.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Representing her country.
The nuclear power plant team. So something like that. So let's go to the turn of the millennium when the Crusades are happening. So the Crusades, if y'all never heard about that before, the Crusades, big conflict between basically boiled down, big conflict between the Christians and the Muslims trying to battle over the Holy Land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who came out on top? The Christians? Did we win that?
I mean, depends on which crusade. There were like...
Sure, there were a ton.
Yeah, there were several.
Anyway, the Crusades are happening. And they're decking it out. Middle East, Europe, everybody trying to gain power over the Holy Land, amongst other things. And a 12th century bishop goes to the Pope because he has on good info about a powerful Christian ruler, a powerful Christian king in the Far East who defeated an enormous Muslim army. And this bishop says, quote, "This man is of the ancient race of those magi who are mentioned in the gospel.
What the?
And to rule the same nations as they did, and to have such glory and wealth that he used only an emerald scepter. It was from his being, fired by the example of his fathers, who came to adore Christ in his cradle, that he was proposing to go to Jerusalem," end quote. Go to Jerusalem to win the war, win the crusade, or whatever. What's up, Charles?
Classic Squid.
What
Was
they
he a
say?
part of the Far East movement?
Okay. I can't speak to that. But
He was fly. Like a
so he goes
G6.
to the Pope. He goes to the Pope and he's telling him there's this powerful king. It would befit us to make a pact and join with this king to help us in our conquest. So this starts a huge search. Multiple countries, Christian countries, are sailing all over the globe. This man basically acts as like a catalyst towards world exploration, alliances between nations, and it's insane. They're trying to like the hype for this dude is growing just off of word of mouth. They spend a couple decades looking, and they never find this dude. When one day the Pope receives a letter, and the letter speaks of riches and this fantastical land, and it comes from this dude, this Christian king in the Far East. The letter starts off saying, "I, Prester John, the Lord of Lords, surpass all under heaven in virtue, in riches, and in power." And he's talking about the land that he comes from, and it's supposedly the home of the Tower of Babel, as well as the Fountain of Youth. He elaborates a little bit more on that in the letter, and through other documents, we've gathered more information on this, basically saying, talking about like where this dude is from, or at least where he's from, what it has. There's a manuscript talking about the miraculous spring is located on an island in an extreme meridian of the world, where long-lived people drew from its waters lasting health and renewal of youth. So there's information coming from this letter. There's rumors. It's not making entirely it's not making sense entirely. So the information they have isn't super conclusive, but these countries are continuing to send people out to go look for this dude because they want help in the Crusades. The crazy thing is that this letter came like 100 years after the initial rumors of this man. So like by the time we find this dude, he's going to be dead. Why are we continuing? But rumors are still coming in from this guy like 100, 200 years later. And they're like, well, this has to be a result of the fountain of youth. This man has the gift of immortality.
Makes sense.
So yeah, honestly, makes sense. They're learning more about this fountain of youth, and this fountain is often associated with sensual, erotic love, and either drinking or bathing in the waters could restore youthful sexual performance lost with age.
Viagra.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, so this Riptide Rush, Barry Blitz,
Sex on the beach.
Blue Chew drink. Everybody's looking for it. Everybody wants it. Everybody wants these powers. And before this letter from this man named Prester John, there's only a couple instances where a fountain of youth is mentioned. One of the earliest is in 300 BC from Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great talks about coming across this healing river of paradise. People have drawn similarities from Jesus Christ's ministry when he healed the man at the pool of Bethesda. Talking about the pool of Bethesda being possibly one of the fountains of youth. So countries are sending people out to look for this man. They send people out to Mongolia, and there's rumors that he's a Central Asian ruler. Quickly, they find out that these Mongols are not Christian. So they're like, he's not here. Portugal sends a bunch of explorers down the west coast of Africa. They pass.
So
the
hella
Ivory
people are
Coast.
just looking for this fountain of youth.
For Prester John, the king, the descendant of the Magi.
So he's like the main reason they're looking for it, not, and the fountain of youth is like a byproduct, kind of.
Sure, the fountain of youth, the riches, the resources also including like men to help them fight the war,
Right,
Because the Crusades are still going on, right? This dude is just famed across Europe for being a powerful Christian king and potential ally.
Yeah.
So while the Portuguese are going down Africa, Ethiopian pilgrims start moving to Europe. And they catch the eye of a bunch of scholars and cartographers in Rome. And while in Rome, they're learning about the Ethiopians. And they're saying, hey, the Ethiopians sound like the land that Prester John is from. So maybe we should go check out there. So Portugal sends a bunch of people to Ethiopia. And they're like, hey, we hear Prester John's from here. And the Ethiopians look at each other and they're like, who the is Prester John? But they turn back and they're like, yeah, Prester John's here. You want to hook it up? And they're like, hell yeah, let's fight this thing together. And Ethiopia by that point had already had Christianity. And there were a lot of like faithful followers there. So they made a pact and they went to war. But they ousted themselves because when they went to war and saw them throw rocks, they're like, no, this isn't the powerful army that we thought. So they ousted themselves. The Pope was pissed, and he declared the Ethiopian sect of Christianity as heretical. He called them heretics. So they broke the pact. Prester John is not in Ethiopia. So the search continues. And
where in the world is this Prester John, dude?
I don't know. That whole Portugal-Ethiopian pact happened in the 1500s, like 400 years after that letter came to the Pope.
Damn.
So they're spending hundreds of years looking for this dude, or his descendants. They're thinking it's his descendants, or he's still alive because of the Fountain of Youth. Back up a little bit from the Portugal-Ethiopia alliance. 1492. What happens?
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
Correct. On Columbus's second expedition or voyage to the Americas, he has a friend with him. And the name of this friend is Ponce de Leon.
Oh.
So Ponce de Leon is credited as being like the first European founder of Puerto Rico. And as the European founder becomes the first governor or mayor there, while he's in Florida, while he's in Puerto Rico, he hears about these Native Americans in Florida at the time, Indians.
Is it the Taino people?
This is at the time it was in northern Florida. They were known as the Timucua, the Timucua tribe. So the Timucua tribe were native to northern Florida, northern and central Florida, and he hears that the Fountain of Youth is there. That the Timucua natives live long lives and they're healthy and they're strong and able-bodied.
Could have been the natural food.
Coulda. But he goes and checks it out.
The Buckies.
He finds the fresh waters there, and he's quoted saying that these Timucua natives are in fact strong and big and do live long lives because of the waters that run there. He says they have to know the exact location of the original spring of this Fountain of Youth. So he leaves Florida. He goes and tells his homies. He's like, yo, it's over here. Give me more resources. We'll go back and we'll take it for ourselves. He goes back, and because of his first visitation, he had brought diseases, and a lot of them had been wiped. The remainder of them decide to go with people down to Cuba, or they integrate with like the Seminole tribe. So the Timucua tribe is now considered extinct. So now Ponce de Leon is in Florida, and he's like, okay, we're here. We're at the fresh waters. We got to find this fountain. And he's looking and he's looking, and he's old. He's getting old, and he cannot find it. He can't find it. And he spends enough time there where he basically gives up. The last couple natives there, they fight. They deck it out because he had brought disease on them. They hate him, and he's mortally wounded. Oh. And they escape. They go back to Puerto Rico. And just as they reach the dock in Puerto Rico, he passes away. So Ponce de Leon, companion of Christopher Columbus, spent the last half of his life looking for the Fountain of Youth in Florida and died doing that. Couldn't ever find it. And that was the end of him. The story of our homeboy, the descendant of the Magi, Prester John, ended up being a complete myth. He was never found. There's a bunch of theories on
sending the letters?
Who it was, who sent letters. It's crazy. That was like a whole part of history that was altered because of myth and legend. All of this, like a byproduct of this whole thing, led to St. Augustine being founded. FYI, was founded in 1565. It's the oldest establishment in the U.S. It was founded 50 years before Plymouth, 40 years before Jamestown. So super, super old, rich with history. The place is beautiful. It has a ton of Spanish architecture. There's a castle in the middle of the city with cannons. Me and Sean got to go and walk the walls. It's right on the beach. Super gorgeous. The whole town has a bunch of like Spanish moss hanging from the trees. The main like touristy part is like the old like colonial quarter where you can go like get ice cream now and slices of pizza and whatnot. But it is a beautiful city. And when we first got there, we're driving through, and there's this big sign that's lit up. It says in neon, Fountain of Youth. And
I found it.
I look it up, and turns out it was founded by this white capitalist dude in like the 1920s who wanted to like piggyback off the legend, and it became like this super popular resort that a ton of people visited. and there's like old pictures of people bathing and drinking from the Fountain of Youth. And
just people pissing in this pool, dude.
yeah. What's crazy is that there's a bunch of like newspaper clippings of people within St. Augustine and in this area who have lived to super old age. 110 years old, 133. The oldest that I could find was 137 years old.
Damn.
And some of them have talked about drinking from the Fountain of Youth.
Okay.
So
never mind.
up until this point, it's talked about as like a myth and legend. But within the last like couple decades, scientists have like done research and like done tests like on the water there. For one, it sounds stupid that like this whole thing that happened with Prester John 1,000 years ago ends up in Florida. But Florida is like, in my research of all this, Florida has the highest concentration of freshwater springs in the world.
Makes sense then.
So if the Fountain of Youth is anywhere, it's got to be in Florida.
Statistically speaking.
Actually. So they ran tests, and the water there, at least at that Fountain of Youth, has been tested with, has been proven to be radioactive. It has trace amounts of radium, plutonium, and lithium. So there's notices there that says, we don't advise you to drink this. But people do anyway.
This explains the Florida man situation.
And the reason for some of these fools living to 137 years old. So while we were there, I was texting one of our longtime listeners, shout out Jess, because she's from Northern Florida. I was like, yo, we're in Northern Florida right now. Do you have any recs for us? She was like, yeah, maybe go here, eat there. Also, the Fountain of Youth, not worth it. So if only she was around for Ponce de Leon, you know, to
Could have told him, yeah.
Yeah, that fool.
Could have saved
Could have
all
lived a
that
happy
time,
life,
dude.
you know. So that's what I found. I thought it was a fascinating story with Prester John being the descendant of the three kings,
Bro.
That's sick.
and saying like, who is this dude? People still don't know. He's the original troll almost, and just like sent a letter and be like,
From the Far
I'm
East.
the king from the Far East.
If you
who
go far enough east, you get west.
defeated this army and found this Fountain of Youth. I have the Tower of Babel, the Declaration of Independence.
I mean,
and-
like, how was anyone going to fact check him back then? He could just say whatever he wanted, or
I know, it's
whoever
probably
was saying what they wanted.
14-year-old on COD, dude.
yeah. He came from the depths of 4chan.
Dude, that's crazy. I had no idea about any of that.
Neither did I till
That's sick.
6 hours ago.
Thank you for sharing, dude. That's sick.
Yeah.
I love that. It sucks that the Fountain of Youth here in St. Augustine is fake, though.
Would be nice if it was real.
Made by some
They call
jabroni.
it Buc-ee's now.
So that was the intro to where we went to vacation
Yes, sir.
the other week and visit Charles. It was a good time. Charles got gifted an uni for Father's Day. We made some pizzas. With like under like a torrential downpour and a beautiful sunset.
Yeah, it was
It was a good time.
30 minutes later from a torrential downpour to the sunset.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Dude,
What?
should we talk about it?
What the
We
uni?
did a couple
What?
tours,
Oh, yeah.
and then I don't know how we want to do this. Sean, do you remember like the history of St. Augustine?
I can do my best. I personally was paying more attention to the haunted history of St. Augustine, and I just tended to drift towards remembering that information more so. But it is, like DJ was saying, the longest like continuously
inhabited.
occupied
Mhm.
like town in the U.S. And with that, it is also known as one of the most haunted towns in the U.S. as well, because of all the crazy stuff that's happened. And on the outskirts of St. Augustine is this giant Castillo de San Marcos, which was built partially by prisoners of war. This St. Augustine has gone back and forth between French-owned and Spanish-owned over the years since it was actually established. That's what I'm thinking of.
So the Castillo de San Marcos, is that what you said?
The Castillo de San Marcos, yeah. That's what it's
And
called now.
It's a fort, right?
It is a fort. So DJ's pulling up a picture right now. This is actually a dope picture. Like, we don't get to see this picture whilst we're on the ramparts of this fort. And it's supposedly, what was it, 12 or 16 feet thick. And it was built right there on the edge of town so that any oncoming assaults from the French could be fought against. In fact, they told us a story of one year, the French were like, you know what, let's go down to St. Augustine and take it over. Like, screw those guys. And the Spanish were ready. The people of the town were ready. And they basically trapped them and were like, hey, you can either join us. We don't have enough food to keep prisoners, so we're going to have to kill you if you don't join us. And everybody in that group was like, nah, we're not going to. And so they ended up killing every single one of those people, thus leading to an even more haunted space of St. Augustine.
Yeah, dude.
Now,
so just a lot of history of death in this place. A lot
of history of death. And then one of the main founders, if you will, was Henry Flagler. One of the main founders and well-known man within the city. There's even a Flagler College now they're in the center of St. Augustine. And there's some spooky history on him. On top of that, there was, one of the creepiest parts of history that I thought was really crazy was the people in St. Augustine were running out of food. They were going to die. And there was supposed to be a shipment delivering food to them. And the ships come up onto the horizon and then stop. And no one comes to the city to deliver them the food. And all the people are like, what's going on? Like, they've been there for days now. We're going to die. We're running out of food. Because they didn't know how to like farm or do anything yet. So.
Who are these? Europeans?
Yeah. And
didn't know how to farm?
I guess not, dude. But.
Probably not out here in the swamps, bro.
What the hell? Why is that surprising to me?
Yeah, I don't know.
They didn't know how to do anything. Didn't they have slaves too?
At some point, yeah. I don't know, like if it was at this point or if they were just prisoner slaves. But the people are like, okay, let's send some boats out and see what's going on. So they send these small boats out to the big ships, and once they get there and board the ships, everyone is dead. Everyone on the boats is dead. And they're like, well, we don't know what to do. Let's take the food. We're going to die. So they take all of the food back to the town and realize that everyone had died. They don't realize this fact, but people start dying in the town as well because they had just carried what killed everyone on the ships, what was Spanish flu, I believe, and started killing all of the people in the town. I think, 50% of the people died because of it.
Was it worth it? Was the food worth it?
You should have just learned to farm.
You should have just looked at the expiration date.
And gone to the Fountain of Youth. But yeah, so some fun history parts of St. Augustine. Like I said, as the longest occupied town, there's bound to be some spooky history.
So St. Augustine, super old, super haunted. Every building is like, this building's haunted because of this. Like, this building haunted because every building is like an old bed and breakfast that's like 300 years old, and it's like this room in the bed and breakfast has an old witch who lived in. Like, this one has the ghost. It's like everything is haunted here. It's so crazy. It's like Scooby-Doo in real life.
And like half of them are like historical landmarks, and then the other half have been like flipped into like some like weird like mom and pop shop.
Yeah.
Or like a hipster coffee shop or something.
One of them sells honey, dude. That one was actually kind of cool, though.
But, so the boys flew down here, I will say, on 3 a.m. funds. So
wow, first trip paid for by the podcast.
Yeah, shout out the Patreon, dude. It was cool. It was like the biggest purchase we've ever made with like 3 a.m. money, and it was like let's
really spent it on ourselves.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah. But so they flew out on 3 a.m. funds. So shout out our Patreon.
Shout out.
They get here, and what do? Obviously, we hit up the beach, we hit up food, but then we schedule a haunted tour.
Let's go.
And so we're super stoked. Sean signs us up, and we're like, let's go. So we drive down, and we meet up. It's in the middle of like downtown St. Augustine, and it's this little shop, and we're super excited. We've been listening to loud music. We're being all rambunctious in the car, and we get in, we sign in, and they're like, it's in the back room. And there's like this dark candlelit back room full of like quiet, awkward people standing around. And Sean, DJ, and I go in, and it's this like museum of oddities and horror. So there's like an original spirit board that on the wall, and then there's like an actual torture device from the medieval times, like encased in glass in the middle. And it's like all these like crazy what's the term, like artifacts and stuff of the macabre and the strange. And DJ, me, and Sean, we haven't seen each other for a while, so we're just cracking joke after joke, and like people are like really gone, and they're like board. Serious. Yeah. And Sean and I are we keep like teasing. We're trying to make each other laugh. And I look in the corner, and there's this statue of an old lady in this old clothes. It's like a wax statue. And as I'm staring at it, I realize it's not a wax statue at all. It's a live lady. It's this ancient old lady, and she's standing in the corner. She's like on a pedestal, and she's just like standing still, like. And I'm like, I nudged DJ. I'm like, dude, what the f?
Almost looked like she looked like the female version of the butler in Haunted Mansion.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Except she's like tiny and wizened and old. And also half of this like room is a library.
Yeah.
And so
just books.
Sean or DJ, I can't remember, at one point, it's just like, start grabbing books.
Yeah. There's got to be a hidden wall. Meanwhile, I have like the crystal, and I'm like, am I adopted? And it's like swinging to yes.
And just like old white lady near us, like doesn't know if she should laugh or like ignore. Yeah, we're just making everyone uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden the door closes and locks. And the lady like jumps into action, dude, and starts like performing her intro. And it was fun. We were in the mood. And she basically is just
starts cursing all of us or something, right?
Probably.
She does And she's just like, too bad we're trapped in here unless we can find a way out. Only if you can solve a riddle. And she does a riddle, and immediately I was like, book.
Yeah.
She's like, what has a spine?
Bro. Yeah.
What has a spine? And I'm like, book.
I tell tales.
Yeah. I was like, my bad. She's just trying to do her thing, but I was like, I'm trying to get out of here. So then
I ain't trying to be in no submarine, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious, dude. After like the last hour, the captain of the submarine is like, all right, we can get out, but you got to solve this riddle first.
He's like, this is a get out game, dude.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So anyway, she turns and she pulls these books, and she finally hits one, and it opens a trap door. And dude, Sean, me, and DJ giggle, and we're so excited. And there's like 20 people on the tour, and the door opens, and Sean just walks right up to the front. Sean's like, I'm first. And so we follow Sean out, and they take us to a trolley, and we get on a trolley, and we start driving. It's like 9:30. It's nighttime.
It's dark.
We're driving around the city, and she's narrating it, and literally every corner has like
something
crazy
haunted.
history.
Yeah.
The story Sean told about like the boat where everyone died, she took us past the cemetery, and she said, this cemetery, one of the oldest ones in St. Augustine, in each of those graves is more than 40 bodies deep buried. And the guy on top is the only one who got his name on the tombstone. Everyone in there is 40 bodies deep down. So much death,
Stacks
so much story.
on stacks.
Like this place has so much haunted history. We're one tour, and we passed walking tours, other trolley tours, like multiple ghost tours. I saw like 13 ghost tours throughout the night. It's just like hundreds of people on a ghost tour at the same time, all with their little EMF readers and flashlights. So she takes us. Where does she take us first? She takes us to the old cemetery, like one of the older cemeteries way in the back. Mm-hmm. On the way, we pass a bronze statue of Mr. Flagler himself. It's this life-size bronze statue on a bench, and he's just sitting there like this. And the Flaglers are super interesting. They moved down to Florida. I think they were from the East. They were from like New York or Boston or some shit.
Something like that.
And they were billionaires. or the equivalent of billionaires back in the day, like back in the 1800s. And in order to escape the heat, or sorry, the cold of winter of the Northeast, they came down to Florida, and they was hella hoity-toity. So they come down here, and they're just like, I don't give a shit how much it costs. Build us the nicest hotel ever. And they build this crazy big hotel, which they took us past, and it was really wild. Like these huge circular glass windows, and really ornate building, really pretty. They were so rich, they were like, hey, this jail is gross. We're going to give you a ton of money. Go ahead and build a really, really pretty jail on the outskirts of town and make it look hella nice and just put bars on the window. And they're like, all right, bet. And they made that. Anyway, we pass this statue and we go to the graveyard. Mm-hmm. And our little tour guide, she's so cool and sweet, and she's kind of soft spoken, but she's playing the part.
She like loves her job.
Yeah, she really did. She was like, loves the history, loves the story.
I was really appreciating
all for it. Yeah. I was like hanging on to every word. I wanted to be near her the whole time because she was just dropping all these gems. And she took us onto this little...
This lady was damn
she
funny.
Was cracking jokes. Yeah. Oh, dude, our driver's name was Black Widow.
She was dressed in like the black and white prison clothes and stuff.
She was a husky meth head.
Probably working for that minimum wage.
Yeah. But anyway, our tour guide, I can't remember her name. Sorry. She takes us to this like wooden platform where we can stand and kind of survey the graveyard. And she's telling us all these stories, and I'm going to do my best to remember, but a lot of haunted children shit.
Yeah.
So she apparently there was like a young couple in St. Augustine. They were to wed, and they tragically died. And so to this day, people see the bride, or they see a woman in a white dress like walking in between headstones. Mm-hmm. That was just one of the entities that people regularly see at this graveyard. The other one, there was a group of boys, and Sean or DJ, help me if you can remember this one. They're a group of boys who live in St. Augustine. They want to kind of, as young kids do, they want to go check out the haunted shit. So they set up a tent like right in the middle of the cemetery. That's about as far as I can remember in the story.
They're trying to see if they can see anything in the middle of the night. And they're sleeping, and they're awoken by somebody walking outside of their tent.
That sounds right.
So they open it up.
I think they hear a noise of someone walking around. Keep going, DJ.
Yeah, they open it up, and then they look, and it's the bride herself, right? Is she floating? I can't remember exactly what the punchline was, but
damn, maybe we should cut this because I can't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, they see her. They run out screaming. This was recently, right? Recently, as in like the last couple decades or something.
Yeah,
like
I think it's a lot
90s.
more recent, that one.
Yeah.
The last one I can remember is this one happened probably like 100 years ago. There was a young boy, and there's all the trees around St. Augustine are hundreds of years old. They're so beautiful. They're tall, and they have hundreds of branches that like canopy over the street, canopy over the graveyard. And this kid, he loved to climb trees. And I think he climbed up this one tree one day and climbed up too high, and a branch broke or something, and he fell to his death. And they buried him right if you stand at the wrought iron gate entrance of the graveyard and you look in, directly in the middle is this huge tree that he loved to climb. They buried him in that pathway. And to this day, multiple people report seeing a kid inside the graveyard. And if there's ever kids that are walking by, they look over and they see like a kid, and he's trying to get them to come. And his hands are through the bar, and he's like, come here, come here. And they say it's because he wants to play. But when I heard that shit, I was like, nope.
Red flag.
That's not him, dude. That kid passed on, and that's something pretending to be him.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
So we do that. Our tour guide is like, make sure you're taking as many flash photography pictures as you can.
If you
might
catch
something.
Body apparition.
Dun, dun, dun. It was fun. She was really in it.
Yeah.
From there, we go directly into the wax museum, which in the daytime, a wax museum's creepy. This is nighttime. half the lights are off. Dude, it's so, I was like, it was eerie. All these like shadowy wax figures are just around us.
And it's not even regular wax figures. Like they're reenacting like lynchings and stabbings and.
Oh yeah, dude, they're violent as hell.
Yeah, they're violent wax figures.
Yeah. So she takes us into this back room and she's telling us the story. St. Augustine also has a really rich history of pirates and like British pirates, I think specifically.
So much of the city was built by pirates. It's crazy because like pirates up until 2 weeks ago have just been Hollywood, like not real in my mind. It's just like on the big screen. But then over there, like pirate culture,
Pirate culture
is real. Like Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know, just like the city was founded by a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so she takes us into this section. It's specifically like the history of pirates and their involvement in St. Augustine. So yeah, there's a guy stabbing another guy in the neck in the corner. There's a fake tree with a ton of bodies hanging from it. And it's like, it's odd.
Yeah.
And then the lady starts talking about one of the most infamous pirates. Sean, do you remember this story better than I do? Or I can do my best and you can correct me?
I do remember the story. I don't remember the guy's name though.
Okay.
We do have a video of this story.
Okay.
I don't have it
That's
up
true.
right now.
Okay,
I'll describe it and then you guys correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Basically, this pirate, let's call him Steve.
Steve the pirate.
So Steve, yeah, he was an absolute scoundrel scallywag, dude. He's just, every time the ships would like be delivering gold or supplies and shit, him and his boys would roll out and just jack them. And there was like a sheriff of the town or like the marshal of the town. And
Jack Sparrow.
hated Steve and his boys. Hated Steve and his boys. He was like, I am gonna these guys up if I catch them. And so his whole life he's trying to catch these boys. They're just marauding, drinking, living it up.
Yeah.
Law.
That's what we'd be doing, dude.
Doing their ting, bro. And then one of these days, the block was too hot and the boys got snatched. Each one of them got snatched. And the marshal is so stoked. He's like, I hate you guys. I am going to make your lives hell. I'm going to put you into camp labor until you're dead. And he's like, and Steve, I'm going to kill your ass. And he's like, I'm going to kill you in my most favorite way. And while the lady's telling the story, I think I'm getting it pretty word for word. This is how she told it. But when she's telling the story, she's like, I need a volunteer. And she looks in the crowd and she sees
some nerd ass
strapping
sticks.
gentleman. She sees Sean and she's like, come up onto the stage. And so Sean goes up on stage and out of nowhere, this theater school dropout guy just like comes out of these curtains and starts reenacting the lynching of Steve the pirate using Sean Steve. And so he explained that they would put them in the stocks and they would have a rope around their neck. And they'd have a stick behind the pole and they would crank the stick tighter and tighter. And they would count how many times you could crank that stick until you would kill, like the person would asphyxiate or his head would pop off.
Yeah.
And I think like back in the day, families, like this was entertainment. So everyone got their picnic basket ready. Everyone got like all their shit ready. And they
Grab
were
your
like,
kids, go downtown.
they're all gathered. And Steve the pirate, I'm so sorry. His name's not Steve. We really should look that up, but it's all good. Steve the pirate's in the stocks. The marshal is so stoked. He's like, I'm ready to kill your ass. And they get him in there. They put the rope around the neck. And Sean's reenacting this. So Sean has the rope around his neck and the actor is pretending to twist it. And they twist the rope once. And Steve is like, it's tight and he's choking. And they twist the stick twice. And the rope is tighter and his face is going red and blue. And then they twist it third time. And he's like, can't breathe at all. You can see the indent in his neck and he's kicking his feet. And they twist it one last time and snap. The rope breaks on Steve the pirate's neck. And he falls to the ground gasping for breath. And the marshal's like, get me another rope. I want to crack this dude's cheeks. And so they rush to get him another rope. They get him another stick, and they're hoisting him up. They're putting the rope, and one of the priests recognizes a miracle when he sees one, and he runs up and he throws himself on Steve the pirate. And he's like, "Don't do it. This is a miracle. God saved Steve." I don't know why he sounds like this. This is how he sounds in my head. And so the priest is like, "Nope, you tried. God saved Steve the pirate. This man is meant for redemption. He's going to change his ways, and he's going to be a good dude." And the marshal is like, "Hell no, get out of my way. I'm killing this dickhead." And the priest looks up at him and is like, "Are you really going to question the Catholic Church?" And the marshal's like, and Steve just looks up at the marshal and he's just like, yeah. And so Steve becomes a huge story of success, dude. He cleans up. He becomes a businessman. He becomes like a staple in the community, and people like Steve. And everyone loves Steve. And he just like hangs out with the priest, and all the time the priest's like, "I knew you had it in you all along." And Steve's like, "I really did." But the whole time the marshal's like, "I hate Steve." So the marshal, literally, he's at home all the time. He's just talking shit about Steve all the time. And his wife's like, "You really should give Steve a second chance. Like, he's not that bad of a guy." And the marshal's like, "I don't give a shit. I want this guy dead forever. I hate him." And she's like, "Well, you better stop like talking all this shit, because your daughter's bringing home her boyfriend and we got to get ready for dinner." And he's like, "Oh, fine. I'll forget about Steve. Let's get ready. Let's meet our little sweetie's new boyfriend." Their daughter walks in with her new boyfriend, and who is it? You guessed it. It's Steve, the mother pirate.
Damn, the way he pulled up on her, he was probably like, "Yo, ho."
He's ready to get that booty. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
And so I don't know what happens. I'm sure he has an aneurysm, freaks the out. He's so pissed. His daughter ends up marrying Steve the pirate, and he just pipes down the marshal's daughter. The ultimate FU to authority. Steve's the GOAT. He is the rebel we all want to be.
We love Steve, honestly.
It's a good story. It ends fun. That's Steve the pirate. And then we all get back in our trolley. And we start heading across town. And she tells us the story of I think it's the typhoid fever that killed everyone.
Oh, is it typhoid? Not
I think
Spanish
so.
flu. Yeah, Spanish flu is different. Yeah.
All good though. Small detail that just came to me. She takes us to the old jail. And I was like, "That's cool. We get to pull up and see it." And then they park the trolley and they're like, "Everyone get out. We're going inside the old jail." And this is one of the most haunted buildings in St. Augustine. Like, terrible things happen in this prison. She was describing this building as so old and so like not up to code.
Yeah, she's like, "This place is not up to code at all."
Yeah. So all the stairways are narrow, all the hallways are narrow, doors are like triangles and shit. Like, nothing is the right code. But it was really exciting. She like took us in, she gets us inside, and when she gets inside, it's super dark and the lights are flickering and stuff. And she's like, "Oh no, guys, crap, you stay here. I forgot my light. Don't tell my boss. Stay here. I gotta go get a flashlight." And she turned around and leaves, and I was like, "She's tricking us." And then like she gets out of the line of sight, and then she screams at the top of her lungs, right? And there's a loud bang. And then we proceed to get held hostage by a tour guide, an autistic tour guide who really liked pretending to be
A prisoner.
So this guy who's dressed up as a prisoner comes out and he gives the next hour of the tour, and he made me so uncomfortable for all the wrong reasons. He was trying to be scary. That wasn't scary. his like, I couldn't, his unpredictability. I was just like, "I don't like being around you." I'm really uncomfortable.
I couldn't even understand anything he was saying. I was just so fixed on like his presentation.
Dude, I love all my brothers and sisters on the spectrum.
But yeah, like, those, when people have like unironically have like a painting of the Joker in their living room.
That's this dude.
That's
yeah,
this
like,
dude.
you want to know how I got these scars? And we're like, no, please go back to
just
your
like-
table.
Yeah.
So this guy made us all uncomfortable for like an hour, and he shared a ton of stories that I couldn't understand, or I couldn't stick with any one of his stories. But it was really cool. We got to see the prison. He showed us the gallows in the back where they used to hang the prisoners. It was really dark and scary. Anything else? And then we got on our trolley. I think we hit up one more spot, and we wrapped up the night.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else before I close that part up?
No, I think that's about it.
And overall, it was a magical night that we spent out in the open air of St. Augustine in the tropical night and the cool ocean breeze and palm trees. And it was awesome. It was really cool. Oh, there was one last thing. St. Augustine, she took us on like the main road that opens right out into the ocean. You can see the bay. Oh, there's two more stories. I'll cover this one and I'll do the next one. As we're passing one of the houses, she goes, if you look over there, that inn that some of you might be staying in tonight is one of the oldest buildings in St. Augustine. And it's been here for a really long time. And during the Prohibition, when there was no alcohol allowed, there was a lady who used to live there. And she ran an inn. And she noticed that these guys would come and stay. They would book a room. They would pay in cash. And then they would never like sleep in the room. So they'd come and stay, but she didn't know where they are. And she was a wily lady, a curious broad. And she like followed them out one night, and she followed them all the way to the beach. And she realized that they were rum runners from like the Caribbean islands. They were running rum up, moving it through St. Augustine, and then moving it on. And she was super brave. So she goes, hey, what the hell are y'all doing? And they're like, whoa, what? With their lanterns. Whoa, what?
We're just
And she was like,
hanging around.
They were like, nothing, lady. And if you know what's good for you, like, you better turn around. And she's like, hold on. Let's strike up a deal. She's like, I know exactly what you guys are doing. How about you use my inn whenever you guys want? And I am really good friends with the town marshal, and they stay at my inn whenever they come to town. So I will turn on a light on the second story, and if you see that light, then you guys know, don't come onto shore, like stay out in the bay. And they were like, okay. And she's like, but you got to give me some money. And they're like, all right. And she ran this racket for like, I don't know, 15, 20 years or some shit, and made hella money helping these drug runners, or the rum runners. And so the cops would come and they'd stay at her establishment, and she was best friends with them. And she'd go turn on the light, and the rum runners knew not to come in. And she was just a badass. And I think she took that money and like built like a empire or something that she ran. But she was super cool.
Yeah.
And then the last story. Catholic Church was really strong in St. Augustine. And there was a bishop whom everyone loved and adored. And the bishop passed away. And she took us, so our tour guide took us, and we we drove and parked outside this church. And we got to see this church where this all happened. So anyway, back in the day, hundreds of years ago, there was this bishop, Catholic bishop in St. Augustine that everyone loved, everyone revered, and he passed away. And they were like, damn, like we have to give this guy the funeral he deserves. But we got to wait till like officials from the church show up or something. So we got to like preserve this dude. And it's super hot down in Florida. So what are we going to do? They were like, let's get like huge blocks of ice and we'll put his body on the ice. Right. And they do that, and they immediately he starts rotting, and they're like, shit, that's not working. So they got like a huge metal box. Is that what she said? And they put the bishop's body in this metal box, and they close it up, and they're like, that should be good.
Yeah.
And they waited like 4 or 5 days in the tropic sun until they could finally have the funeral. Everyone comes into town. There's hundreds of people. They pack the bitch out. Like inside of the church is like, there's no room. Everyone is standing there, and this big metal box is sitting at the front. And as they're going through the funeral, someone starts looking around, and they all can like hear a noise over the talking or the music that's playing. And it's a hiss. They're all like, what the? And with the hiss comes this terrible stench. And they're like, what the hell is going on? And they realize that the bishop inside this metal box has just been decomposing and his gases have been expanding in this metal box.
Ugh.
And they're like, before they realize what's going on, I think some people in the front might try to get away, but it's too late. The box explodes from the decomposing body of the bishop. And bits of bishop, when that happens, everyone goes, and they take a big, deep breath and gasp, and bits of bishop and blood and pus and guts spray everyone inside of the church, and everyone's mouth gets full of bits of bishop. And everyone is covered in blood, and everyone turns and screams and runs.
Which is common, right?
Yeah.
Bits of bishop in the mouth.
Shit.
All too common for some. And anyway, it just sounded like the craziest wild funeral, and the Catholic Church heard about it like years later, and they were pissed as shit. They're like, what the hell are you guys doing down there? But there was something like they managed to preserve some part of them, and they put them in a box and it stayed preserved or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I probably should do more research, but that was the exploding bishop story.
There was another story about the bells.
The bells.
Right? When they buried people.
Oh, yeah. They went over that in the wax museum.
Yeah. Basically, when they would bury people, I guess they were stumbling across people that they would freshly bury and they weren't actually dead.
They didn't know what a pulse was back then.
Yeah, so they didn't know. Sometimes people would just be in a coma and they were like, this dude's dead.
Bury. While they're buried, they're still alive and they hear thumping or something like that. Anyway, so that's why they started, they would, drill a hole, string something through down to like different parts of their bodies.
They tie it to like their wrist or something.
Yeah, and then above ground it would go to a bell. So if the bell was ever ringing in the graveyard, they knew the person was still alive.
And that's where we get the term saved by the bell.
Exactly.
And then if you were one of those people who was saved by the bell, your life was indebted to like the graveyard and the people for saving you. So you were tasked to do the graveyard shift. And you had to be one of the guys who like walked the graveyard.
Which just sounds like blackmail to me.
They're
like we're low on staff.
They're like, wrap this bitch up,
how do
bury his ass.
We're on a hiring freeze, something like that. How do we get more people?
Smart. All in all, we wrapped up the tour. The old lady took us back to the original place we started, and we had a really fun time, and it was awesome. And we got to hear stories, and Sean got to be interactive on stage, and we went home, and it was fun.
Yep.
Was it scary? Not at all.
Not at the least.
Yeah.
But it was
fun.
It fun?
But it was a good-ass time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that was tour 1.
Now, for our patrons, tour 2.
Damn. Okay.
The other most haunted building in the town of St. Augustine.
That we were taunting Peter in. Like minutes before.
Bro, yeah.
So we were tripping. We went back down there. We didn't experience anything. But it happened right around us. It was kind of cool.
Because of us.
Yeah, potentially. Sorry. And then talking to the workers there, they're like, she said she's been there for every big show or production. She saw when BuzzFeed came. She saw when Zach Baggins came. She saw when Colby and that other kid came. Sam and Colby, they're like paranormal investigators. And I was like, do you have any good stories? And she's like, oh yeah. And I was like, do you want to be on the podcast? She's like, I'd be willing. She's like, I've been on other ones before. And I'm like, okay, we'll reach out. But she's willing to come on and like teach us all about the Lighthouse.
Some good stories, yeah. So we might have that in the future here.
All in all, it was really fun. Sean and I ended on a note where we kind of wrapped up and then drove home. All in all, St. Augustine's been super fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And the haunted history, there's so much. We probably barely scratched the surface with what we told.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm going to leave it there and I'm going to wrap it there. Anything we want to add with that?
No.
Excited to come back out. We want to do Savannah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that'd be sick.
And that one
Couple
will
hours.
do a
Wanna go
lot
to
better
Savannah.
job at documenting.
Yeah.
This time around, we talked about it. We were going to try to like mic all of us up and film everything so that we could share it. And we were like, no, let's just enjoy this one and kind of test some things
see
so
what
that
works for
next
us.
time. So Sean and I did a lot of testing with recording, and I'm going to do my best to like put it together and put it out. But next time they come, we want to get a private tour, and we want to make sure that they let us film the whole time.
Yeah. But
Cool.
other than that, everybody, it's been a good time.
Yes, it has.
Thanks for chilling with us tonight. But until next time, trust your gut and watch your back.
Bye, love you, be safe.
Be careful out there.
Okay, bye.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of 3 a.m. If you want to support us, visit our Patreon where patrons have access to exclusive content. If you're not able to support us monetarily, don't worry. This episode is on us. You can still rate and review us on whatever platform you listen to us on. It really does go a long way. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle everywhere, including Patreon, is the 3 a.m. pod. Finally, do you have any scary stories? If so, submit them to our website, the3ampodcast.com. We love any audio or visual aids that can help bring your stories to life. So file uploads are welcome with your written submissions. We're anxious and excited to hear from you.